Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round number 6 of the BUSR Summer AC Championship. This round, we're heading back to the States, going back up north from our last round at Brazil, heading over to the Glen in New York, in the town of Dix. That's D-I-X. I'm not saying anything rude. We are on the short layout of the circuit where we cut off the boot entirely. We've had to do a bit of amputation, so we are now, we've cut off about 4 of the corners, so track will have 7 corners because for some reason they don't count the bus stop as a corner. Americans and their corner counting, am I right? I'm joined in the commentary box today by Dan. How are you doing tonight, Dan? How exciting do you think the race is going to be?
Well, yeah, yeah, hi. Nice to have you. Thank you for having me. Yeah, I think the races should be good. Watkins Glen's a quick track. If you look at a track map, apart from that chicane, it's a lot of flowing corners, and these are quick cars. The lap record is under a minute. We're not going to get close to under a minute because we're not in Group C prototypes, but it's only 2.5 miles. It's going to be quick racing, and obviously that turn one has got a massive big runoff out on it. So I expect to see cars making a lot of moves in there, knowing they are full well safe running off wide into that first turn. So yeah, I'm looking for some fast, exciting racing today.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, we see Watkins Glen in a lot of different places, a lot of different disciplines racing there. Really, really interesting track. I will say, not one of my favorite tracks, but if I'm looking at races where I've performed the best, the Glen has probably been one of my better tracks. I'm relatively successful there. Last time out, I managed to hold off a Porsche for a full hour behind me, up until he kind of crashed on his own. And I don't know. I think even though it's not one of my favorite tracks, I know it's a lot of people's favorite, and it could be my new favorite after the race today. Lots, as you said, lots of fast flowing corners. I think it's going to be really exciting to see what our drivers can do. So we could maybe see some overtakes into the bus stop chicane. Um, I mean, it's going to take a lot of courage to do that. But turn number 7, which is the final corner, which is technically turn 11, but I'm not just going to randomly skip numbers because that'll be confusing. Um, we're going to be coming up to qualifying soon, so we're going to head back on track with that.
Yeah, I think Watkins Glen now as we head over to qualifying is a great track. Lots of curves there, as we can see, being used and abused by Aidan Larson here, currently sitting in third. But of course, that's just because of where his name sits in the alphabet, not because of any of his skill whatsoever. Now, coming down towards that final corner you were talking about, it's going to be a very crucial corner to get right. Because of course, if you get that corner right, you get a big, long slingshot, maybe even a slipstream if you're close enough behind, down towards turn one. Now, as we see Aiden coming over to start a lap, crossing the line now over 130 miles an hour, 6th gear, and then hard on the brakes just after the 200-meter board, cut it in, hit that inside apex, run wide. See that massive run if I was on about turn one there. Aiden Larson has so far set the quickest lap time, but of course, only 2 people have, so again, not really much of an achievement. It's a track with a lot of elevation change. We're coming up the hill here. These big catch fencings, very NASCAR or IndyCar style catch fencings there, allow real life fans to get reasonably close to the track. Whereas at other places like Silverstone, they're quite a long way back. These are only Audi TTs. I'm not sure we're going to be worrying any of the catch fencings quite yet. Down into the chicane we were on about. Here it is, flick right, flick left again, and then left for the second time over the right hand curve, taking as much curb as you dare without catching out on track limits, running it wide here. Understeer can be a big problem through this corner here now as we put the power down for the short layout section. Obviously, anyone who's seen IMSA race here or IndyCar knows they go left, we turn right, we carry on down this second, really quite long straight towards the last pair of corners. It's quite a short lap, as you can see now. Hard on the brakes, hit it in left. Aiden just missing that inside apex, running very, very wide. That'll be track limits, I'd imagine, if it's counted there at all, through the last corner, and then onto the power now as we come towards the end of the third sector.
I think that was a bit of a NASCAR line that we've seen there, as we see O'Leary having a little bit of a tap with the wall on the outside. Easy enough to do if you're carrying enough speed in. O'Leary currently with the fastest lap time with 1 minute 15.982, dipping a couple wheels in the grass there. Again, I'm not sure what the track limits are in Assetto Corsa, but I know at least in ACC they can be very, very generous, and it really encourages you to take what, you know, as I've said before, that NASCAR line of really just abusing all of the curb and the runoff past it. As coming through the first sector now down that back straight on the bus stop chicane, which on the official track map does not even count as a single corner, which, I don't know, confuses me, but might just be me, I guess. As we have a yellow flag. I think a car might have pulled off to reset their lap. As we have all of our drivers. I've noticed the medium tyre, which I reckon is probably because the soft might get too hot, as we see Lawson really using the track limits there. Don't know if that lap will count or not, but they go down the back straight between what would be turns 5 and 10, using all the track there. You can see there's kind of like a dark grey part of the track where a lot of the cars run off, and then a lighter grey a bit further out. Lawson getting as close as he dares to that outside wall. Really just trying to use the track as much as possible. O'Leary goes faster one more time with a 15.8, and they're just going to try and improve as they head on to their next flying lap.
Yeah, so just going to say now a bit of news through the championship. Anyone who's been watching the previous 2 rounds will know that it's really been a 2-horse race between 2 drivers. You've got Josh Woolley and also Ryan Dobbigney, but just to say there is some news on that. Josh Woolley is missing this round of the championship. He'll be back next time out, I'm sure, to defend his championship lead. Now, you might have noticed I said championship lead there. You might be thinking, what happened to Ryan Dobbigney? Well, he's been disqualified from the championship for technical infringement, so we will not be seeing him back, at least for a little while now. So that means that it is now Josh Woolley who leads the championship ahead of the car we were on board with at the start of this stream, Aiden Larson, currently down in 14th in qualifying. He is now P2 in the championship and set to inherit the lead, with Josh Woolley coming as a no scorer to date due to other commitments. So yeah, a massive shake-up at the top of the championship means that it's suddenly the gap has shrank very, well, a lot further down than it was before.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting stuff seeing the kind of changes in the drivers' championship that we're seeing. And I mean, with the pace that Dabini did have, you know, some of the races did kind of become how far can he push ahead of the rest of the cars. But now, I think a lot of our drivers are now going to be kind of on a more even footing, so that we should get a little bit of closer racing as well. Let's not forget we're also running a success ballast, so drivers who do better will have more weight added to their car to attempt to promote equal performance across all the cars. So faster drivers will have a heavier car, which will in theory slow them down a little bit and get them a bit closer to the rest of the field, as Ede is now using all of the rev limit of revving the absolute heck out of that Audi coming through the bus stop chicane now. And again, you can just see how much of the curb they're having to use. I mean, these cars are front-wheel drive, very low to the ground, but imagine you're taking those curbs nearly as much, if not more, in IMSA prototypes, those GTP cars, which, I mean, it must be super scary. I mean, I'm scared taking them in GT3 cars, and, you know, compared to a lot of other cars, the GT3s, at least in a certain Corsa Competizione, have relatively soft suspension as Ede goes completely off the track. Owen Goldsmith currently fastest of all of the drivers in the first sector, and he's going to try and continue on with that, flying through the outer loop turn number 5, as we again have cut off the boot and turn the turn the part of the track before turn 10 into one massive straight, as O'Leary has now gone fastest in Sector 1. Goldsmith still making decent improvements, manages to keep all the wheels within the track limits, using all of that curb on the inside. A bit of the camber as well helps to turn the car in, using all of that space on the exit. Goldsmith looking to improve, comes across the finish line, improves his time but not his position with a 1 minute 16.2. O'Leary's now gone purple in Sector 2 as well, so we're going to be seeing just how hard he can push here through turn number 6. He goes. He might just be over the track limits, barely there. Coming through the final corner, trying to carry as much speed as possible, opening up that steering wheel and blasting off over the start-finish line. I don't think that... Well, actually, it looked like that lap was basically spot on what he'd done before. So we're going to look back to see his next lap. Through turn number 1 he goes, using up all of that space on the exit. Through the S's, a very, very tricky uphill section where you really just have to minimise the distance of the track, hugging the inside curb as much as you possibly can, using all the space on the track as possible. Coming into the bus stop chicane, braking at that blue marshal's hut on the left-hand side, absolutely walloping the inside curb there, trying to open up the bus stop as much as possible, carrying as much speed as they can through the corner. You'll notice that's a pretty big thing here at Watkins Glen. There's a lot of fast sweeping corners, so you've really just got to keep up that minimum speed if you want to stay up there. With regards to pace, O'Leary about 4/10 back from their previous best. It's not been the best first or second sector from them, but we have seen just how capable they can be around this track.
Absolutely, yeah. We're starting to see lap times in the sort of high 1 minute 15. So I just thought I'd put that in context. Of course, these are the Audi TT Cup cars. They're a very specific one-make championship from quite a few years ago now. A lot of people are like, oh, they're just TTs. What kind of lap times they're putting in? The lap record around here for a NASCAR truck car is a 1 minute 14.9. So they're sort of 1 second back on a NASCAR truck. That's sort of the lap time we're looking here. Quite a way down on anything GT or LMP related. So, you know, for what they are, with only 330 odd, 310 to 340 horsepower, these things are rapidly quick here as we see James White coming around turn 1. They're currently sitting in P12, looking to improve as we go, just arriving at the halfway mark of the qualifying session. Mohammed there in the Jet 2 Holidays car. He'll be looking to absolutely fly through this lap. Slight down in sector 2, green sector 1, yellow sector 2, coming towards the final turn. A little bit of sliding, brake discs glowing, but keeping it within the traditional lines of the circuit rather than the, like we said, NASCAR more sim racing lines there. As we come around the last corner, put the power down, head towards the start finish straight. He pulls over and pits, knowing that lap wasn't good enough. Charlotte Perkins, she's done very well, was a race winner a couple of rounds ago. She's had a very successful start to the year. Now let's see if she can improve on her P10 qualifying. Of course, she'll be looking to get higher up to get even more points here as we see. Yeah, these very, very good scoring points out in round 4. Round 5 was decently scoring for her, but not quite what she was hoping for. Maybe with the absence of those two front-running drivers, Josh Woolley and Ryan Dobigny, she'll be able to get back up on the podium. We'll have to wait and see now as she comes towards the line. She's running hard tyres according to our graphics there. Maybe that's just a longevity thing. I don't know, but whatever it's doing, she's starting her time lap now as we come down towards turn 1. She's going to be looking to improve on her positions in the last round here and also her last qualifying where she was, well, not quite as high up as she would like here. The only car, apart from Alex Hughes, in the top 10 to run the hard tyres.
Yeah, hard tyres for qualifying. I don't know if it is as viable. It might just give the cars that little extra bit of stability they need. With just over 8 minutes left in the qualifying session, Perkins not improving in the first sector. Again, you can just see how much of the curb that they're having to use to try and minimise how much turning you have to do. I think that, you know, the more that you turn, the more you have to slow the car down. So really just using the curbs almost to turn the car as much as they can. Another TT on the inside. I think that is Mohammed's Jet 2 Holidays car. You know, trying to set an unbeatable time there. Currently in P9. Perkins looking to improve. We've got about 6/10 between the top 10 cars, as we now see Ashavi going quite far off the circuit in the first corner, slowing down and immediately pitting. They knew that was invalid. Butsy goes just 1/100th slower on that lap. The number 31 car pulling off to the side, looking to start again. Goldsmith starting one more lap. About 3/10 off of pole position. O'Leary with that 15.8, a fantastic time from then, with Hughes just behind, followed by Goldsmith, who will be really pushing as hard as they can to get that time back. Larson really trying to improve here, not improving in their first sector. O'Leary again goes fastest of all drivers in the first sector. O'Leary really just seems to be in a class of their own today.
Yeah, they definitely seem to have the pace here of 0.27 seconds up here. We see the wonderful blue and white livery of Aiden Larson here, obviously proven racing winner. Podium, little boop off the wall there for the car behind him. Obviously their lap is over now. Aiden Larson comes across the line. 2 purple sectors, 1 and 2. Has he got a third purple sector coming across the line? Not a clue. Never mind. We'll move on. We're going
Well,
to look at this car from Liverpool.
that's O'Leary who's coming through the final corner. Purple in the first sector, purple in the second sector. Can they light up the timing towers with another improvement on their lap time? Nearly 3/10 quicker by Archie O'Leary, taking a 1:15.5 to the top of the grid. Half a second between the top two. And he's still going. He's still looking to improve, it looks like. As all the rest of the drivers are going to try and scramble now to figure out if they can scrape together any improvement here. But O'Leary is just worlds away from the rest of the grid.
Absolutely, yeah. He's just found some sort of magical touch here around this track. Obviously knows just where to push the curbs here. Owen Goldsmith, really the only driver that's going to have a chance of fighting back there in this plain white car. We are working on my liveries behind the scenes. Don't worry, they should appear soon. Cuts the corner massively there. I'm not quite sure that's the optimal racing line, but he decided to carry on anyway. He's down in the first sector. Will he be down in the second sector because of that cut across the grass? We'll have to find out now. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to be a good lap from Owen here. 0.3 down already. We'll have to see how he is. He's very close to getting into the 1 minute 15s, but so far only Archie O'Leary has managed that now as we come towards, well, nearly at the 5 minute mark now. Nearly, well, 3/4 of qualifying done, 1/4 to go. Archie O'Leary is leading by a dominant gap, but the fight behind between Goldsmith, Hughes, Butsy, Bent, and then Perkins, and even we can even throw Maris Dallas in there, and Eid, and Arden Larson, and Mohammed in there. So it's a very tight qualifying for everybody behind O'Leary, who seems to have just found the right pace around this track so far.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the Glen is a very, very difficult track to learn. I mean, it looks really not too difficult, but it's this kind of seeming tricky that is the more tricky part about, or not seeming too difficult, which actually makes the track difficult. There's tiny little improvements you have to make at every single corner that maybe while you're in the seat you don't realize just how much time they're costing you, but braking a fraction of a second too early, getting on the throttle a fraction of a second too late, taking a slightly wider line than you need to through a specific corner, or being in the wrong gear, it'll all cost you like fractions of tenths. And around the track, even though there's only 7 or so corners, it does all add up in the end. And in cars like this, a spec series where there's really nothing between them, Hughes slamming into the wall with the left-hand side of the car, hopefully no damage there. It's all going to be on the drivers to try and find these tiny improvements and just try and stack them up through the lap. There's not really a lot of heavy braking zones on this circuit. You've got turn 1, you've got the bus stop chicane, you've got the outer loop right-hander, which I believe is turn number 5. Then you've got 6 and 7 as well. 6 is a relatively hard braking zone. 7... again, the track is mostly very, very fast corners, so keeping up that minimum speed and trying to scrub off as little of that speed as possible through a corner is really where our drivers are going to find the most time. Goldsmith 2/10 back on their previous best.
Just wanted to point out that while that was all going on, Goldsmith set a lap time that was, well, it would normally have been blistering if Archie O'Leary hadn't decided to log on today. He's well under the 1 minute 16 mark there on his medium tyres, down in the 1 minute 15.783 range there, 0.19 back on Archie O'Leary. Big boop of the wall there for the car behind. Ashavi in the pit lane. Goldsmith comes across the line. Not a lap time that he's happy with. He's going to pit and try once more as we come towards the end of qualifying. They've got to get out there quick, these guys, if guys and gals, so there's going to be any improvement, they're going to have to do it reasonably soon. The track is busy, as you can tell. Everyone is working their absolute hardest right now. Also, yeah, look at Alex Hughes here. Is he playing a tactical game? Just sitting behind Mohammed, getting that slipstream, catapulting him down onto the straightaways. You'll have to find out.
Yeah, Hughes is really, really going for it now. As through the final two corners they go, looking for any improvement that they can. Owen Goldsmith managed to shave down that gap at the top to just under 2/10, but not enough to displace O'Leary from pole position. And he's sat in the pit lane. He is happy as can be with that lap time, and so he should be. I mean, that is a blisteringly quick time, 15.5. Hughes looking to break into the 1 minute 15s, blazing through the S's, absolutely flat out in fifth gear, trying to carry as much speed through the corners as possible. Up in a sixth through turn number 4 and into the bus stop. They're going to go now, braking as late as possible to carry as much speed through the corner as they can, trailing the car in. It's a front-wheel drive car, so it does like a little bit of throttle on the entry just to get it turned in, going a little bit wider than you'd probably like, probably trying to cut back for a late apex, ensuring a decent entry. They are 2/10 yellow at the moment. Perkins up into P3. Hughes still on that second row of the grid, could put up a really decent fight. On the line as we go through the final corner now, using up all that. Ooh, a little bit too much track, but I think they're still going to keep their foot flat to the floor, and across the finish line they go. It's not an improvement from them, but we do have about 20 seconds left to quali, so Hughes could put in another lap if that car is not too damaged. Eade is now coming through the final sector, trying to use the toe of the cars ahead to get them all sorted, or to get them as much speed as possible on the straight. As we're watching Eade now looking on the inside of the car ahead, who must also be on a flying lap, trying to not get in the way. Eade says no thank you, realises they're about 7/10 down their previous best, decides to call it a time for the qualifying session. James White all the way down in P10 with a 1 minute 16.290. From all the way from third place to 10th, there's only a 10th and a half in it, so any little improvement that any of these drivers can find is really going to boost up the position, as James White up into third place with a 1 minute 16.0. Fantastic lap from James White. Goldsmith currently in second place. I'm not sure if he is on another flying lap just yet, but you can just see there's not a lot of time in it between Perkins and Bent, and maybe a little bit further back. Yeah, up to Maris Dallas, you have just about 2/10 separating them. Alex Hughes looking to maybe try and improve. Butsy going a little bit wide. Butsy pulling in to the pit lane to end their lap. Alex Hughes, I believe, is our last driver on track, setting a flying lap, going through the bus stop chicane. Well, I guess literally going through the bus stop chicane. I guess they've called it a day with that. And Goldsmith, I think, is going to be trying to make an improvement. Maris Dallas, actually, up into 5th place, all the way from 11th. So really, really good qualifying lap from them. Just 0.003 of a second back on Charlotte Perkins in P4. Puts Maris Dallas in P5, third row of the grid. Goldsmith pulls off to the right-hand side of the track, unable to make any sort of improvement there, and I think that's going to be our quali order for this race sorted. I don't know if Tom from Gridfinder is going any quicker on this lap, but assuming that they've only just gone through the start-finish line, I don't know if this one will continue to count for the overtime, but we'll keep an eye on them. With a 16.5 under their belt, Tom is going to be looking to make any improvement that they can through the outer loop. Going as quick as possible, trying to use all of the track. Oh, well, no, never mind. Okay, that is quali over, and with, I mean, some blistering times and at the front of the grid, and kind of in the middle of the grid, you've got a lot of drivers that are very, very close to each other in terms of pace. Again, about 2/10 separating fourth place from 11th. So we could see some really, really strong battles in the midfield, as well as maybe a pretty spicy battle towards the sharp end of the grid, battles potentially for the podium, depending on how things go. Dan, what are you thinking after quali? Who's your driver to watch out for?
Oh, Archie O'Leary. I mean, look at the lap times; they were blisteringly quick. He was so quick. He just kind of gave up with qualifying, and went right, go on, try me. And only a couple of drivers could even get close to him. So I think if you're betting on a race winner for at least for race one, it's got to be Archie O'Leary. A 20-minute race, all you have to do is get turn one right, nail the start, get away, get to the bus stop first. Once you're through that initial bus stop, I think it's his race to lose. Of course, we apologise for the issues with the liveries and the track skin. Those will both be loaded before race one, hopefully. So going forward, all the cars will be unique and identifiable in their wonderful colours of pink and blue and green and yellow and all the things they try and make us learn so we can identify cars at a distance. But yeah, it should be a good race going forwards. We've got, 18 or so entries on a reasonably short track. So, it's going to be a tight race. We're not going to see any lapping. It's too short for that. But I think Archie O'Leary's got to be one to watch. But also people like James White, Charlotte Perkins, Aidan Larson, they've all put in impressive laps. If they can hold that pace for the whole race, they might be able to do something that Archie O'Leary's one lap pace can't match.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, drivers who do a lot more hot lapping than they do actually doing racing, I think do struggle in these sorts of situations because knowing how to drive the track fast is one thing, but knowing how to drive it fast when there are other cars around you is a different challenge entirely. And I think a lot of the drivers that are out here, they have that hot lapping talent. But also, we've seen a lot of these drivers who are not only really quick and quali, but they're also really, really strong in the race. We saw one of the previous rounds, Goldsmith was able to put up a really decent fight with Dabinyi, who had qualified very, very highly. And we've actually seen a lot of the reverse grid drivers putting up really good fights with some of the other drivers who'd finished quite high up. So we have a lot of really fantastic defensive drivers who are just able to, make the jobs of the faster drivers, a lot more difficult. Which for us really really entertaining. But I mean, you've kind of got to think of the faster car and just how frustrating that could probably be. You're behind this slower guy who's fantastic at defending, and as the faster car, you're like, oh my god, will he just get out of my way? And as the slower car, you're probably thinking, "Oh, I'm like Fernando Alonso at Hungary 2021 right now. I'm absolutely killing it out here." So I'm really excited for both races, really. But I think race two could be really really interesting because we've got some really really solid defensive drivers that are kind of in the middle of the field at the moment.
Absolutely, yeah. It's it's going to be a close grid of racing. There's going to be lots of people with lots of defending. Yeah, we're going to be going to that first race soon. It's a 20-minute race plus one lap at the end, obviously set by qualifying. So all the drivers who are at the front will still be at the front now as we cut over to Watkins Glen.
Yep, here we are again for the race today with what here at Watkins Glen, in the wonderful New York, New York. Well, it's not in New York. It's in a town called Dix, which I think is funny. I'm not going to say it anymore, but funny word. As we go to 4 red lights, it's lights out and away we go for round number 6 of the Audi TT Cup Series for BUSR. O'Leary is already covering off Goldsmith on the right-hand side of your screen. Through turn 1 they go now. O'Leary drifting it to the inside, using all of the space on the track as possible. You've got that run-off on the outside, so any drivers can really easily use up the space. It looks relatively clean out the back. Let's hope I'm not commentators cursing anything just yet, as O'Leary is trying to hold on to first place. They've already built a really sizable gap. Goldsmith basically being pushed by a train of other Audi TTs on the inside. We've got the yellow car of, I believe that is Alex Hughes looking for a move. Perkins looking for a move up the inside at the bus stop chicane, not able to make one. Hughes still pushing Perkins through, trying to make any sort of move they can, looking around the outside of the of turn number 5. They've got a white car on the inside, I believe that is Butsy, looking for that move on Hughes, taking that slipstream from Perkins. Hughes now looking on the inside of Perkins into our turn number 6. A little bit of side-to-side contact, a bit of door banging there. Perkins forced off wide, seemingly by Hughes, who's now taken that position back. Butsy looking around the outside of the final corner. We've got Ashavi and Aidan Larson also trying to make up some ground. O'Leary still leads out front, followed by Goldsmith and White, with Mash Dallas and Alex Hughes currently in P5. But there is a huge battle happening here as Butsy holds on to P number 6 with Perkins just behind, with a red car running very, very wide and off the track there in the background. We've got Butsy again just really trying to hold back this train. A lot of these drivers in this part of the track are very, very similarly paced. So we're going to see some really, really aggressive battling here. Elbows out, no holes barred, as Perkins is going to look for another move. Again, trying to get the slipstream here is vital. There are so many straights on this track where if you can get that overspeed from the slipstream, you can really utilise it in the corners. On the back of Butsy now we go through turn number 5. Really, really long right-hander. There's a bit of camber on the inside, so trying to stick the car to the inside for as long as you possibly can. Really, really good for the performance of the car, just holding the car in. These last 2 corners are a little bit more tricky. Perkins looking for a move up the inside of a Shavi, or is that a Shavi going around the outside? I believe they might have gone off track there and gained a bit of an advantage. Perkins really not having the best start to this race, 3 minutes in, and they've already lost a handful of positions. White currently has the fastest lap, but Perkins is looking to take that place right back from a Shavi. Coming up into turn number 1, has a quick glance to the inside, doesn't really make anything happen. Aidan Larson right on the back of Perkins, trying to push him through the corners, looking through the S's. Larson knows better than that. I think they're going to go for a bit of an overtake into the bus stop chicane, pushing Perkins all the way, using that slipstream as much as they can. Up in a 6th gear they're going to go now. Mohammed in the Jet 2 Holidays, Audi is getting absolutely pounded by Grid Finder's Tom just behind. He's going to be looking for any move that they can. Ashavi still holding back that massive train there, with Perkins just behind. Larson looking for any move that they possibly can. Turn 5 is going to be vital for our drivers because it's going to lead into a relatively heavy braking zone, but it's still O'Leary out in front, followed by Goldsmith and White. Huge battle here for P8, with a train of Audis slowly following behind.
Yeah, it's a very intense start. Lots of drivers in very, very close proximity to each other, nose to tail, all the way up and down the grid. No gaps are above a second in the front, in the top 10. If James White has set the fastest lap of the race, which you can see from the way that he is staring right up the exhaust pipe of Owen Goldsmith there. These drivers are nose to tail. The gap is tiny between them. We might be able to see a move down into the bus stop here. Can White get a good look? He's got to get through these couple corners, staying close to Goldsmith, well, as close as he can, really. Right up his backside till we get to the chicane. Full throttle in 6th gear, climbing up over 130 miles an hour, getting up to 140 before they haul on the brakes down here. 400 meters, 300 meters, 200 meters. There we go, onto the brakes. Probably feet, actually. It's American, never mind. Through the bus stop. No move made there. Not quite close enough there, but he's staring at the back of Goldsmith's car. He is hoping he can get past very, very soon, or else he'll be able to tell you every intricate detail of that car before too long, given how close he is behind it. As we go now down toward, we're coming up at the end of this lap now. Nearly had a quarter of the race gone already, and Archie O'Leary has a monster gap, and by that I mean it's just over a second, as we see the gap for 2nd and 3rd place hotting up. A little bit of sparks coming off the back of Goldsmith there. White running it very wide, trying to maintain that speed. We cut back now to look at the battle for 5th. I think this is 5th and 6th here. We are on board with Maris Dallas here, fighting Alex Hughes ahead, with Will Butsy just behind. You might have to catch their car in the mirrors. That gap is tiny. Archie O'Leary set the fastest lap of the session there so far. Maris Dallas 6th gear, full throttle down towards turn 1. Looking up to see Alex Hughes ahead of him. Here we go, side by side. Will Butsy of the inside of Maris Dallas. Both of their cars plain white, but their drivers very different here. Maris Dallas losing out to Will Butsy there, moving down to 6th place. Will Butsy taking it up to 5th place for the run up the hill. Here we go. Can you have a look round? going to might have another go back up the inside into the bus stop. Maris Dallas is going to be annoyed at that. He's in the top 5. That'll be a great finishing position for his season. Good, solid points. He's having a look. He's side by side as we come into the braking zone. Hughes goes through clear. There's a little bit of bump. There's a lot of bumping. There's a lot of contact. Maris Dallas goes off the side of the track. Got rear-ended by a Xavi and also hit Will Butsy up the back. Kind of rejoins in roughly the right place there, which means Xavi has been a big loser in all this. Charlotte Perkins has snuck through up into 7th. Just came out of nowhere, really. Basically, she saw the contact up ahead and went absolutely, yeah, we'll take 7th place on her recovery drive back after a poor start there. As we can see, some cars on the hard, some on the medium. Those mediums may start to overheat, may start to fade if they're driving too aggressively. But Charlotte Perkins in 7th, lost 3 places from the start, but has come back up again through the field with a nice set of pace. Owen Goldsmith still setting quick lap times here as we cut to him in P2, just behind Archie O'Leary, actually faster last time round. The gap is now under a second, full power going up the hill, building that speed to become up there. The gap flickering around a second. If this was Formula 1, he would be thinking about DRS, but it's not. It's much better. It's touring car Audi TTs around Watkins Glen. Formula 1 used to race here, but now they go somewhere else instead because of money. But never mind that. The gap is, well, it's hovering around that second mark. It's not quite close enough, not quite enough time to get closer there. Now we've gone back to 7th and 8th for the Xavi here. Charlotte Perkins side by side down towards the bus stop. Who's going to come out on front? As Xavi has the outside line for the first part, which turns into the inside line there. A little bit of bumping over the curbs, pushes wide, goes off onto the track. That's a controversial overtake if we cared about track limits, but we really couldn't care less because they make racing slightly less interesting for those at home there. Xavi sticking it there in 7th, or is it 8th? We'll have to find out. Charlotte Perkins, they are side by side once again, coming down through, well, towards the end of Sector 2, towards Sector 3 now. There's a big fight behind them. Aidan Larson and Adam Eady just behind them now. Aidan Larson looking like he's having a look up the inside there to take both positions. There he goes, past one. Charlotte Perkins running round, keeping the inside line for the last corner there. 3 wide, contact. Xavi is off into the runoff zone, getting punted wide and all of that. 3 into 1 does not go. Aidan Larson looked and could not find the space, so just decided to punt it off. But Tom Hughes has moved up to 7th place in all of that chaos.
Yeah, I mean, very, very tough battling there. Perkins having to run off the track to kind of avoid any incident, and unfortunately, Xavi was caught off guard there. Eid runs a little bit wide at turn number 2, and that might just give Aidan Larson enough encouragement to try and go for a move. Eid looks to the outside of Mohammed, doesn't make the move. But now they look to be going side by side through the bus stop chicane. That's going to slow up both drivers. Larson almost goes into the back of Eid, it seems. Through the chicane they go and into turn number 5. Larson's going to try and narrow that gap as much as they possibly can. But, you know, they were right on the back of Eid, and I think they might have just slowed down a little bit too much for the bus stop chicane. Which might have thrown off that pace a little bit. The gaps towards the front of the grid opening up a lot now, with 6 seconds between Butsy and the rest of the top 3. But Butsy also has Hughes on the back and Maris Dallas just behind. You will have to correct me if I am butchering these names. It's just something I do. Into the first couple of corners, nearly halfway into this race, Alex Hughes is really going to be pressuring Butsy as much as they can, really getting in the mirrors and just trying to get as much speed onto the straight as they possibly can, looking to the outside. They've really got that overspeed going for them now, as they're already past Butsy before even the bus stop chicane. Up at a P4 is Hughes, with Butsy chasing just behind Maris Dallas, about 8/10 back. Hughes does go very, very wide, looking to cut back for a late apex, maximising the exit. Butsy looking for a move on the inside of our 6th corner, and looks like he got a really, really decent run through turn number 5. Butsy looks to the inside, manages to kind of make that move stick, but goes really, really wide, breaks a bit too late for the corner. These two fighting might give Maris Dallas a little bit more encouragement to try and get this move done. Hughes looks to the inside, down the pit straight they go. Hughes alongside Butsy and up the inside of turn number 1, braking late, using that inside curb. mounts the kind of higher part, and there is contact there with Maris Dallas. Can Hughes keep out the wall? No, right in they go, bang, and reversing into the path of Aiden Larson, who's gone wide at turn 1. Maris Dallas up into P5. Hughes, unfortunate incident there. Maybe with Maris Dallas looking kind of up the inside, putting his nose where it probably should not have been, and unfortunately spinning him around again. That's an issue for the stewards, not for us to decide. Eid is now going to be looking around the outside of Larson into the bus stop chicane. He knows that move won't stick. Larson pushed a little bit wide there by the curb, and Eid off into the grass doing a little bit of rallying, gives Ashavi just enough space to get past them into turn number 5. Kamil Zurek currently down in P11 as well, looking to maybe get involved in this fight for the top 10. Mohammed currently in P7, decent improvement throughout the race, but Hughes just ahead of them by about half a second, and they're going to try and cut down that gap as much as they can, getting all the way up in the slipstream, trying to make whatever move they can. You can just see how helpful that slipstream is. They've gained, just on that straight, more than 1/10 of a second. So being behind a car is actually probably one of the best strategies you can have with this car and track combination. So just sticking in the slipstream, using that less air resistance to pull yourself closer to the car ahead, get yourself a bit of overspeed coming into the corner, as Mohammed is still right on the back of Hughes. I don't think they had the best run through the S's, but that slipstream might just be able to keep them within 4/10. I'm not sure what exactly the magic number range is here. Mohammed goes a little bit wide. I think that was just about within track limits, but if they'd gone any wider, I know that final inside curb is a deadly one. Trying to use the camber there of turn number 5 to keep the car going through the corner really nice and smoothly. Goldsmith pulling themselves a little bit closer towards O'Leary, who's currently in first place. The gap sitting around 7-8 tenths. I mean, O'Leary's pace has just been insane, but Goldsmith's been doing a really, really good job trying to keep up with the, I believe that is the University of Liverpool car in P1. I mean, even just in these few corners, O'Leary has just opened up that gap again. So I think Goldsmith's just going to have to wait for a bit of a mistake from O'Leary ahead to try and make any sort of move. And perhaps even a bit of lapped traffic could get involved with some of our drivers who maybe have not mastered this track as well as Goldsmith or O'Leary. You know, they could really be getting involved in this fight. We're going to go back now to this fight for P6. Hughes still holding down the fort, but they've got another 2 or 3 cars just behind. Could be even a 4th if Eid can get involved. Hughes trying to hold off Mohammed to hold on to 6th position, which would be a really, really decent finish for Hughes. Larson is, you know, we've seen just how quick he can be in a lot of these other cars. Hughes using the NASCAR line there through our 6th corner. Through the final corner they go. Yeah, Larson, again, we've seen just how quick they can be in a lot of these other races. So probably, you know, not having the best of times out there right now, trying to make his way up through the field as we're in the last, coming up to the last 5 minutes of this race, and there is still plenty of action happening up and down the grid.
Absolutely, yeah, it's a very close fight for most positions here. Just want to point out on a wider scale for the championship order, Owen Goldsmith here is really in the best position now. He is scoring a humongous amount of points, with rivals are scoring none. Here we see Mohammed going around the outside for P7 versus P6 and P7 now into the bus stop chicane. He's already got that overspeed. He's got the inside line for the second part of this corner that doesn't exist according to the Americans there. Clean overtake, reasonably clean cuts across the grass there. Coming back towards Maris Dallas there. Aiden Larson looking at the inside. He's already stolen positions before because of fighting. There he goes up into 7th for Aiden Larson. Mohammed looking at 6th and ending up at 8th there. It's just how unfortunate, well, it's an unfortunate fact of close touring car racing here. We go on board now, Mohammed. Going to be thinking about the inside. A fastest lap of the session for Archie O'Leary. Aiden Larson looking up for an inside overtake there, running it a little bit wide for the Australian there. He's holding on to that P7, this recovery drive. Crucial. Oh, we've got a mistake from Mohammed. Get the tyres on the grass. Lovely drift there. Front wheel drive and drifting doesn't really go well. Great show, not great racing. He's going to lose out a bunch of positions there. Adam Eid and Ashawi both getting past Mohammed. Looking at 6th, now down in 10th, and after just 2 sectors as Maris Dallas here, he's up in 5th. There's a Will Butsy ahead. He's thinking, hello, I can smell a 4th place coming. Maris Dallas obviously in that white car, trailing Will Butsy in the other white car, so this is going to be a fun one to commentate over when they're close together. And never mind that, as we come towards the bus stop in that slipstream, hoping just to claw back some speed as the hole is punched in the air ahead of him now. The gap ahead is just under a second, not quite close enough to make any moves towards the bus stop. Hard on the brakes for both of these 2 cars now, flicking it through. Little twitch there from Maris Dallas, not going to be helping his speed coming out there, holding a good P5 for him. He'd like to get the points for 4th. Will Butsy would like to keep them. We'll have to find out how this evolves.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the gap between Butsy and the top 3 cars is insane. The top 3 really just kind of in a class of their own. The 13 seconds between 3rd and 4th position. Larson pressuring Hughes into turn number 6, going a little bit wide through 6, basically pushing Hughes through number 7 as Larson is absolutely piling on that pressure as we approach the last few laps of the race. Larson's going to look for a bit of a move. You can just see them using the throttle kind of on the entry of the corner to get the car turned in. You can just see just how much overspeed and how much more Larson's been able to carry into the first corner compared to Hughes, basically pushing him through the S's onto the back straight through turn at number 4. Larson is going to be trying to use the slipstream to get back past Thomas Hughes, who's putting his car in the middle of the track. Larson makes a look up the inside, thinks better of it, tries to just run through the bus stop chicane as per usual. Hughes taking a really, really decent line through there, positioning their car very, very well, using the inside camber to just hold the car in, using the kind of, even using the inside of that curb to almost pull the car through initial D style as the amount of push to pass, is probably going to affect just how much our drivers are going to be able to make these overtakes. I forgot push to pass was even a system on these cars, but yeah, if Larson can make that move, using that push to pass, it could put Hughes back at an advantage as we approach the last minute and a half of this race, with Larson really, really pressuring Hughes into trying to make a sort of mistake, or just trying to get him into the wrong place on the track, just trying to making him crumble under that pressure. Is going to be a really tricky thing. You can just see how much the car's sliding under the brakes into the bus stop chicane. Larson able to take a little bit more speed, using the throttle mid-corner to help steer the car through. Hughes maybe not having the best of runs through there. Larson is right on the back of him as Goldsmith sets the fastest lap of the race with a 1:15.2. Very, very good lap from Goldsmith, who I think if he'd set that lap in qualifying, he'd have been on pole. But it's the race now. It is not qualifying, and as we all know, the top 10 finishing of this race will be reversed to determine the grid for the next race. So currently, Kamil Zurek is going to be reverse grid pole as Hughes goes very, very wide at turn 1, really taking that NASCAR line. Through the S's goes Aiden Larson, making that overtake up at P6 without much fight back. But Hughes is looking to use a bit of push to pass, a little bit of extra power on the straights. Larson to the inside, Hughes to the outside, into the bus stop chicane they go. Hughes able to make that move again on Larson, who's going to look to just try and get him off the ideal line through the bus stop chicane. Again, he's so close to him, making Hughes maybe sweat a little bit as the gap is just about a tenth. Larson's going to look to looks up the inside, getting up in Hughes's mirrors. Up the inside of turn number 6 they go, side by side. This has put Larson not in the best position for turn number 7, but they might be able to get a bit of a cutback on the exit. Hughes positioning his car brilliantly. Really, really good defending from the all-white Audi just ahead. Larson's going to look for any move that they can as we go into the final couple of laps of this race. Through turn number 1 they go. Ede is right on the back of them as well. Hughes is pushing as hard as they can. The gap is now less than a tenth between Larson and Hughes. The Australian pushing Hughes's car through, basically through the S's and onto the back straight. The gap opening up a little bit more. I think Hughes might have a little bit more power in the car with the push-to-pass system. The two cars ahead also looking to be fighting quite hard, with Maris Dallas and Butsy making a fight for P4. It seemed like there was a bit of a lock-up from one of the cars. Let's put Maris Dallas into P4, but O'Leary ultimately wins this race with Goldsmith in P2 and with James White taking 3rd place. But ultimately, we're going to be looking back at this fight here for P7. Butsy has now made their way. I don't actually think it's P7. I think this is incorrect that we're seeing on the timing tower. Apologies for that. So Butsy finishes in 4th. Maris Dallas finishes in P5, with Hughes followed by Larson, Eid Mohammed in P9. And I believe we have some other drivers. Kamil Zurek finishes in P10, but to put him on reverse grid pole for the next race, followed by Tom from Gridfinder, Ashavi, Alex Hughes, Adam Bent, Justman and B, NG, and TRM. That race was so chaotic. I don't think I could really keep up with anything. We did mention Tom from Gridfinder earlier, so I think it's time we should tell the lovely, lovely viewers about Gridfinder. If we have the sponsor video sitting around. Okay. Due to last minute broadcasting changes, it seems like the sponsor video has gone walkies. So tell you what, we'll just tell you about it through word of mouth. Gridfinder is the ultimate platform for finding your people for whatever sim you want to use for racing. Assetto Corsa, ACC. I believe they even have Le Mans Ultimate on there now, but don't take my word for it. I don't personally. Yes, they do. Okay. You know, they've got so many different sims, so many different communities that use Gridfinder to put their name out there. So if you're out there wanting to get into sim racing, or just wanting to find some people to race with, if you want to improve, if you want to learn, or just if you want to drive with some really cool people, you can go on Gridfinder, find your community through there. Let's not forget BUSR is using Gridfinder to run our Assetto Corsa Championship, and well, I don't want to sound like we're full of ourselves, but hey, if you do want to join BUSR, you can find us through Gridfinder, who have been very, very nice with helping us get our new league set up. So head over to Gridfinder, give BUSR a little follow, and find your people. Don't forget you can also join the BUSR Discord at busr.gg/Discord and check out all the other championships that we have running. I believe we have F1 on Saturdays, and we might have some other ones going on at other points during the week. I only know of this one, and I know of F1. We might have other sims. We have done other sims in the past. We've done Assetto Corsa Competizione. We've done iRacing. We've done EAWRC. I'm not sure if those are still running, as we are in the summer season. So someone will have to correct me on that. But yeah, thank you to Gridfinder for helping us out. And yeah, is there anything that I'm forgetting to mention, sponsor and or affiliate wise?
iRacing is run this season. So if you do want to race in something that isn't an Audi TT or a Formula One car, which I know is it's a hard ask to make you race anything but a 5-cylinder Audi, or well, 4-cylinder Audi, or a V6 land yacht, you can go and race in iRacing. Those races change up more frequently, and of course, coming in the next season, so sort of around winter, so September, October, November, I believe other championships will be rotating in and out. So if you think all this tarmac stuff is rubbish, then you can come and join us for a rally game. Maybe it's Dirt Rally, maybe EAWRC. Come onto Discord, find people that you like, find people that can help run these leagues and set them up. Maybe you could start your own one and we can help you run it. We'll have to see how that works. But if you want to get involved, yeah, do come and join us on Discord. We've always got spaces for drivers. We've always got spaces for members on the broadcast team. Maybe you love to commentate. Maybe you love to broadcast or do social media posts. Maybe you want to help run a championship. Come and get involved. Come and sign up.
Yeah, I will say when I started my sim racing journey, I think nearly 2 years ago now, BUSR was the first place I properly raced. I went from playing F1 on controller to actually getting a wheel, being really slow in ACC, and just really just networking, I guess. Finding some really cool people to drive against and to learn from. You know, it's been really valuable for me. It's helped me to find even more awesome people from outside of BUSR, compete in other championships, improve my own like racing skills as well. So I wouldn't be where I am today without BUSR. So hey, if you do want to meet some cool people and get involved in some awesome events, you know, come through, come join us. You know, it's joining a Discord server is completely free for now. So we're going to be running through into our second race shortly. Here we are, and we have Zurek on reverse grid pole with Mohammed just behind, and we have our winner from last race, Archie O'Leary, starting P10, as we're going to get ready for 4 red lights to come on for this second race. Lights out and away we go for race number 2 of round 6 of the BUSR Audi TT Cup series on Assetto Corsa. Zurek immediately looking to cover the outside. Mohammed looking to the inside of the first corner, using the that inside curve to help turn that car. Zurek on the outside in the Traxian Audi TT. Hughes, or Thomas Hughes, up in P5. Battling with Aiden Larson just ahead. Looks like we've got through the first corner relatively cleanly. We've had some exchanges for positions. Adam Eade now looking up the inside, pushing Mohammed through up into the bus stop chicane. To the outside they go. Larson looking for a bit of a move, as there is a big crash behind. Hughes getting a little bit too comfortable with the rear end of one of the other Audis just ahead, shuffling up the order a little bit more, and it looks like O'Leary making their way up into P7 already. We're not even finished with the first lap, and our winner from last race has went from 10th to 7th. Goldsmith also making their way through the grid, but it is Mohammed leading. They say nothing beats a Jetsu holiday, but Eid is trying to beat Mohammed out here on track as we come down into the first corner. Mohammed with the fastest lap currently. Eid looking up the inside into turn number 1, using that curb as much as they can, running a little bit wide. I think just blocking Mohammed from really making any sort of move in retaliation to that overtake there. Looking up the inside of turn number 3 into the S's. Eid knows he's not alongside just yet, but Mohammed's trying to make it so up into the through turn number 4 and approaching the bus stop chicane. Mohammed is really trying to, he's basically pushing Adam Eid through. Looks to the inside as the gap suddenly opens up. Eid really trying to open up the bus stop as much as they possibly can, as all of our drivers got another overtake happening further back against, I believe that's Alex Hughes. Eid up into first place, able to make that move on Mohammed, just compromise the exit of the bus stop chicane. Goldsmith up into P5 with White just ahead in the white, or one of the many white Audis on the grid, looking for a move up the inside of turn number 6. Can't make that happen just yet. O'Leary following Goldsmith through. You can just see how much more speed O'Leary is able to carry through the corners. Ashavi looking for a move there, and again punted off in exactly the same place as the first race. Unfortunate for them, as they're going to be a sitting duck out the last corner onto the pit straight, with basically every other car on the grid looking to get right past them. Goldsmith currently with the fastest lap of the race. Very, very unfortunate for Ashavi there. Getting hit again. Same spot as the first race. O'Leary is trying to make any move that they can. And this little trio of Goldsmith, White and O'Leary, White looking around the outside, and O'Leary looking up the inside, nearly 3 wide coming into the bus stop chicane there. Goldsmith managing to hold on against James White, but they're both losing time to O'Leary behind, who is pushing as hard as he possibly can, trying to make any sort of move. Goes a little bit wide through turn number 5, trying to carry a little bit extra speed through the corner. Can't make anything happen just yet. Zurek down into P7 after starting on pole for this race. Butsy just behind has Hughes just behind has got Butsy making a move on him, with O'Leary really, really trying to push White as much as they possibly can, trying to make that move. But I think Goldsmith starting to try and clear them a little bit more and is looking to get back onto the podium. Eid leads with Mohammed in second and Maris Dallas in third place. But we're watching currently the battle for fourth with 3 of our quicker drivers on the grid, all scrapping for position here at Watkins Glen.
Here we go, looking further back in the field now, looking at this. So back to White, never mind that. We've got 5th and 6th, our nose to tail. White is looking right. He can see through O'Leary's car up to 4th place. That's going to be his target there. Owen Goldsmith seems to have snuck his way up into 4th there through the chicane, a little bit over the curves, bouncing, letting these cars just get a little bit unsettled, but not so unsettled that you end up eating barriers and grass. Here we go, round the corner. James White he's going to be aching to get past O'Leary here on the push to pass system, giving you that extra 30 horsepower boost, just like BTCC has. These TT Cup cars have push to pass. Here he goes. Going to make him move up the inside? Probably not. No, stays in line. Very, 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 very close to the back of that O'Leary car. O'Leary, obviously, this is your podium from race 1 now in 4, 5 and 6, just in the wrong order. So the points these guys will be scoring is going to be exceptionally high. Goldsmith definitely going to be in the title fight going forward, as well O'Leary if his pace continues. The fastest lap of the race goes to Owen Goldsmith, who's setting his targets on the podium ahead. As we see that James White has got nobody behind him. He has got to worry about absolutely nobody in this fight, just getting past the cars ahead of O'Leary, and then Goldsmith is harassing that podium. Look, Maris Dallas, Mohammed and Adam Eid all started a lot further forward thanks to the reverse grid. Yeah, this is a very close race. Now Maris Dallas here looking up on Mohammed. This is for 2nd place on the podium. These are big points with both of these drivers. Neither of them have scored substantial points so far. Some of them haven't even scored points until this weekend on Monday. But anyway, here we go, up the inside into the... Oh, there's contact. Maris Dallas has punted Mohammed round, which has knocked Mohammed out of the way there. Maris Dallas got claiming P2. Owen Goldsmith has suddenly appeared out of absolutely nowhere up the inside of Mohammed to take P3. Maris Dallas there, not the greatest, cleanest racing of the stewards deemed penalties. They'll deem penalties, but it's unlikely given how brutal racing this can be. They'll just know to return the favour. Archie O'Leary now having a look up Mohammed's inside into the penultimate corner. There's a move up ahead. Owen Goldsmith trying to go around the outside. Lots of curve being abused there. Owen Goldsmith now settling into 3rd place. There's more contact behind Mohammed. Off into the barrier there. Archie O'Leary going around the outside of him. Mohammed losing out on all of those wonderful points I was just talking about, dropping down now behind even Will Butsy. He's now in 7th place. Just 4 corners ago, he was right up at the front. Now he's right down at the back. Adam Bent here leading this backpack. They're going to be seeing Mohammed falling down, thinking, right, let's go and catch him. Come on, people, let's work together. As Camille there doesn't really get that notice and tries to go up the inside of Adam.
Yeah, I mean, Mohammed did hold that first kind of bit of contact really, really well, not spinning the car out, but that second part of contact, really just not his fault, just wrong place, wrong time, gets spun at the final corner, as we've got it's a massive battle here for P8. Adam Bent leading the way with about 6 or 7 other cars behind him. Kamil Zurek in the Traxion Audi looking up the inside of Adam Bent coming into the bus stop chicane. Can he make that move? It looks like it. There's more door banging contact there. Zurek on 2 wheels briefly. All drivers keeping it, well, relatively on the track. Hughes uses that bit of contact as an opportunity to get up the inside of the white, black and red car of Adam Bent. Hughes makes that move through turn number 5 pretty decisively. Hughes now looking for a move on Zurek for P8 into turn number 6. Makes that happen, and it looks like maybe just about keeps it within the track limits, as there's more contact behind Ashavi spearing into the wall, really not having the best relationship with turn number 7, as that's the third time they've been crashed there this weekend. Zurek down into P10 looking for another move on Hughes around the outside, using Bent's slipstream just ahead to try and carry themselves further up the grid. Hughes is really trying to hound him now, but we're going to go and look back at this battle for second place as Maristalis gets absolutely speared into the wall by Goldsmith. Goldsmith also in the wall. Maristalis collecting multiple cars. Butsy barely able to get through. Mohammed also able to get through. This gaggle of cars down at P8, just about on the other end of the crash, able to avoid it. All the other cars able to recover, but that was a huge incident. White now up in a second place, Butsy in third, Mohammed back into fourth place, making their way back up through the grid. Goldsmith in fifth place. O'Leary still chasing down Goldsmith, but that was a huge crash there at the bus stop chicane.
Absolutely massive contact there. That is just the danger of running so close here. As we see Alex Hughes and Adam Bent now fighting over 7th and 8th. Alex looking up the inside of Adam, I believe, there for 7th and 8th. But of course, the big losers in all of that were people like Goldsmith and Mohammed. Will Butsy has just suddenly rocketed up to 3rd place, having barely scored any points before this weekend. I'm not even sure if he scored any last time out. He's now up into 3rd place. Adam Eade is the race leader. Just to mention that Adam Eade is leading ahead of James White. He got the podium in race 1, now he's podium in race 2, but he's going to be thinking, how can I close that 2.7 second gap all the way up there? Just a word of warning there, Aidan Larson and Charlotte Perkins down in 10th and 11th. Both of those drivers absolutely bleeding points to their rivals. Aidan Larson should be on for the championship lead this weekend, with Josh Woolley and Robert Ryan Dabini not being present at the moment. So both of those drivers out, so he should be, but he's currently in 11th. That is basically no points whatsoever for him this weekend after crashes and running offs and being punted off. And Charlotte Perkins, who's just about scraping the top 10 as we come down towards the bus stop chicane. There's chaos, there's bumping, there's crunching. Adam Bent, season coordinator there, the Scotsman, just getting punted off there. Alex Hughes going round the outside. He's got Archie O'Leary nearby just ahead. And Adam Bent has been punted round towards the shortened layout section there. He's lost lots of positions there. The season coordinator being punted down, a Xavi getting past, Ken Jack getting past, all the way down for Adam Bent. That is not what we would like to have seen from him. As we go back now, Aidan Larson up into 10th. He's finally scoring points. His miserable day getting slightly better with a measly 10th place. As he's looking up the inside of Thomas Hughes, who runs very wide ahead of him. He's going to be getting the run down into turn 1 here for the move, powering down past Thomas Hughes for 9th place. Charlotte Perkins getting caught up in damage and contact in the first race. She's still recovering from that now, but she's up into 8th place. So currently it's Adam Eade and James White with Will Butsy up ahead there. But yeah, for championship reasons, this lead moves from Aidan Larson are crucial for his title. Josh Woolley's going to be sat there watching the stream either now or later thinking, gosh, this is amazing for me. I'm keeping my championship lead. Aidan keeps getting punted around, but I hope I don't commentators curse that going forwards. But yes, massive repercussions of a championship. Owen Goldsmith in 5th there. Archie O'Leary in 6th, but James White has got to be looking here for a race win.
Yeah, White really piling on that pressure, trying to close that gap out front. I think it's gone down from 2.7 to 2.2, and White is continuing to whittle away at the gap. Larson is just trying to make as many positions as they can, trying to scavenge as many points as possible from this second race. Larson has really not been having the best of luck so far this weekend, and they have got Hughes just ahead. Looking at the inside now through turn number 6, able to get through the corner. I think a little bit late on the brakes there. I say a little bit. I mean, he's taken the real NASCAR lane through turn number 6. Hughes gets that position right back, and so does Zurek, looking through up the inside, around the outside actually at turn number 7. That's the number 33 Traction Audi up into the top 10 points paying positions. As Larson manages to keep it in the track. Zurek goes a little bit wide through the S's. They're going to go now. Larson side by side with the black and pink Audi, trying to make any move that they can. Hughes looking to park his car in the middle of the track. Both Larson and Zurek are going to be trying to fight to get that slipstream. Trying to open up the bus stop as much as they can. Larson up into P10 as Zurek now looks for a bit of a move on the exit of the bus stop. Can't make that happen, and Larson really using the camber of turn number 5, keeping that car hooked on the inside of Xavi, now looking for a move on the inside of Zurek. I don't think able to make that move, but that BWT Audi right in the background, trying to put himself in the pole's mirrors, goes a little bit deep at turn number 6, and through goes Ashavi with another car behind. Not exactly sure who that is. I believe that is Kenjack in P12 now making that move with Bent, who is able to keep that car from crashing out just behind them as we're going to switch back up now into the battle for third with Mohammed just behind Butsy and Goldsmith, as you can just see in the back of frame there in the light blue Audi, really trying to get the podium position that they really want. This will help them claw back some really good championship points. Gap between third and fourth sitting around 6/10. Again, it's all about using every single part of the track as much as you can in cars like these, maximizing every opportunity that you can. Maybe not as much as that car in the back of I believe that was O'Leary, who took the true esports line through turn number 5 on the exit. Butsy 7 seconds back from the top 2. Speaking of the top 2, let's go and have a look at this battle for the lead. 7/10 the gap between Eid and White. Eid was really good. No push to pass for White, who is currently the trailing car in this battle, so all he's got for himself is trying to maximize the car as much as they can. Eid, I think, still has some push to pass remaining, so they might be using that just to open up that gap a little bit more on the straight. So even with White having the slipstream, Eid's just able to put more power down and just keep themselves going in that straight line. I think having that little extra power might just help them hold back James White from getting that lead. Down into the battle for 5th now. Goldsmith has made that move past Mohammed, but the Jet2 Holidays car is not going to be giving up anytime soon, using up all the space on the track, getting a really decent exit out of turn 5, looking up the inside for turn number 6. Mohammed on Goldsmith makes the move up the inside. Can he get the car stopped really well? It looks like he can, but Goldsmith on the outside having a better run through turn number 6, and through 7 they go now. Mohammed's going to have to be mindful of Goldsmith on the outside so he doesn't put him in the wall. Goldsmith trying to use the slipstream of Butsy, manages to make that move up into P4 solidly now. Mohammed looking up the inside of turn number 1. This is some really good racing that we're seeing here. Goldsmith manages to keep it on the track. Mohammed does think better of that move, maybe thinking that they can get that back in the or either through the S's or through the through the S's, or maybe into the bus stop chicane. Again, these drivers are having to use all of the power available. They're using all of the power curve, all of the revs, extracting as much performance out of these little Audis as they possibly can. Mohammed running a little bit wide there, scrubbing off a little bit too much speed through the bus stop chicane, going back up to the battle for the lead. It is neck and neck, wheel to wheel between these two. Whites looking around the outside of Eid at turn number 6, just able to keep his wheel in, I think, but White ultimately losing out a little bit through turn number 6, and through 7 they go. White looking on the inside on the exit. Looks like there's a bit of push to pass going on. Eid to the inside. White is going to have to try and make as much of a move as they can, both to the left-hand side of the track. Eid maybe turning in slightly too early there. White able to carry some really good speed coming up into the S's now. Looking for a little bit of a move into turn number 3. Can't make that happen just yet, but White in the slipstream of Eid, basically pushing him through down to the bus stop chicane. Less than a tenth the gap between these two now. White pulling to the left-hand side of the track, really just trying to maximize the speed as much as possible. The gap is getting smaller and smaller. Eid on the inside of the bus stop chicane must be able to make this happen. The two drivers nearly able to go side by side through the bus stop chicane. Ultimately, Eid is the one leading. Goldsmith is well behind these two, but the battling could bring Goldsmith into contention if they battle super hard for the last 2 minutes of this race. White looking to the inside of turn number 6. Really good racing that we're seeing from these two here. White Really, really looking for it up the inside. Eid off the track around the outside of turn number 7. Looks looks white, goes white, and around the outside of the final corner, he makes the move for first place. Eid is going to try and make it back. White all the way to the inside before pulling to the left, trying to open up turn 1 as much as they can. Really just trying to maximise the track, maximise the car, and White is now going to have to defend for the last minute and, well, I suppose it'll probably be 2 laps, or maybe 3 laps, because it's 20 minutes plus 1 lap. So, I mean, White is going to have to really be able to withstand that pressure quite well. But there is also a really, really big battle for the final spot of the podium that you can barely see in the back of frame there, between Butsy, Goldsmith, and Mohammed. We are currently looking for, and it looked like Eid went off a little bit there, and, well, Butsy and Goldsmith also both going off there at the chicane, cutting the grass. Now, I didn't know Audi made lawnmowers, but it looks like all these drivers are doing a really, really good job at showing why maybe they should. Butsy in P4 has Mohammed pressuring them. Goldsmith is going to be praying that these two fighting is going to open up that gap behind a little bit. It might have been a bit of contact there between Butsy and Mohammed, slamming that door shut in his face, really just trying to hold on to that position as much as possible. Really, really good point scoring opportunity for Butsy here if they can keep the car up in P4, with the gap at the front now starting to open up as Butsy taking the esports line through the first corner, door banging with Mohammed through the S as they go, up the inside of turn number 3. Leary, sorry, that's Will Butsy is trying to hold that part of the track. But Mohammed is not giving way anytime soon. He's going to look up the inside, coming into the bus stop chicane. Butsy ultimately has to shut that door. Mohammed kind of knew that, backed out before the overtake was really made. As we head into overtime, the gap at the front opening up even more. Goldsmith pulling away from this battle for P4. He's probably really grateful that Butsy and Mohammed are having such a fantastic fight, because it's allowed him to hold on to P3 for as long as he has. James White now is going to come across the finish line. Wait, have we finished the race? No, we haven't finished yet. No, we've got one more lap. I got a bit too ahead of myself there, apologies. As O'Leary is now looking for that move, trying to claw back a few extra positions with Butsy and Mohammed fighting as hard as they have been. This might give O'Leary just a little bit more encouragement. They could make an extra 2 positions. This would be a really decent points haul for the Liverpool driver, who's looking to make any sort of move that they can on the 2 other Audis ahead of Mohammed and Butsy, who are both, fighting tooth and nail for this lead, or for this P4. So not even the podium anymore, as Goldsmith has managed to pull away from this fight enough to not be involved whatsoever. Mohammed looking for any sort of move they can, looking on the inside of turn 5, backs out, piling on the pressure onto Butsy, getting himself known in the mirrors, making Butsy realise he is there and he is going to look for a move. And here he goes around the outside of turn number 6. There is a lot of door banging there. Mohammed just about holding it around the outside, off the track they go. But White is your winner today. Started 8th, finished 1st. A masterclass from this driver as Mohammed just about makes that move. Butsy pushing O'Leary all the way at the wall there, just to get that P5 finish. We have Eid in 2nd, Goldsmith 3rd, Mohammed 4th, Butsy 5th, followed by O'Leary, Perkins, both of the Hugheses, and with Aidan Larson in 10th place, Ashavi in 11th, with some of our other drivers just behind TRM, battling with the car just ahead, trying to make one final move. I believe that's Just Man NG who is just ahead of TRM. He looks up the inside, knows he can't really make that move. Stick the number 20 car is going to be rounding the final corner, crossing the finish line. Really, really decent finish from them, making up a decent amount of positions. And Joe is our last finisher of the day. Well, I don't know about you, but I feel like I am losing my voice. What an insane 2 races we've just seen there.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty great race. I feel like I kind of got zoned in too much there to speak towards the end of those sort of last, I don't know, 10 minutes or so is what it felt like. But yeah, a race overall win fair for James White. That is his first overall race win since round one. Obviously had to miss the last round out. So, nice to come back singing for him. Massive haul of points, 2 podiums, one of them being an overall win. You've got to now start to consider James White in terms of overall championship contention, much like Owen Goldsmith. You've got to be thinking he's got to be up there now. A late start to the season, but now he's coming back swinging podiums, points left, right, and centre. Rival Josh Woolley not here. Dobbingley disqualified for technical infringement. Goldsmith is now in there with a chance to win. Aidan Larson with a disaster of a weekend, barely scoring any points whatsoever. So yeah, he's had a rough one. This championship fight has suddenly got a hell of a lot closer than it was just an hour ago.
Yeah, it's really become a game of more players, I believe, as a series of other events has really opened up the championship for other drivers to maybe get involved. We've got some drivers getting interviewed shortly. We're just having a look now to see who we're going to be picking out today. First up in the interview box is James White. James, fantastic finishes from you there. Brilliant win there in race 2. How did you find the track today?
Oh, hello. Sorry. I think it's a great track. Watkins always lends itself to really good racing, especially with the turn one up to bus stop. It's a huge toe, so you get some really fun racing, especially bus stop sends. I think race 1 was quite slow. It all kind of spread out, and the 2 people in front of me just had really good pace. I think it was Owen and Archie. They both did really good stints in race 1, so congrats to them for that. Race 2, obviously, kind of decided by that crash. I'm not sure if you caught it on stream, but there was a 3-car crash in front of me, and I got through it okay. So it led itself to that win, and probably wouldn't have happened without it. So silver linings, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah, as
definitely.
we go into the last couple of rounds of the season, of course, you scored very strong points. You got a class win in race 1, overall win in race 2. Are you now starting to think about championship battles and thinking, can I maybe do this? Can I get the alumni class win? Can I even get the overall championship? Is that what's on your mind now? You're still focusing on race by race?
Yeah, I kind of just take this race by race. Wherever I finish is wherever I finish. Of course, it'd be nice to come first, but I think it's just great to see everyone putting in the maximum effort for these races. And I kind of just take what comes. But yeah, I'm not sure what track we're at next week, but I'm sure it'll be a good one.
Yeah, so thank you for coming to speak to us, and congratulations on your race wins. Hope to see you with more race wins next week at the Nürburgring.
Perfect. See you next week.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, next up, I believe we have Owen Goldsmith, who we saw fighting pretty hard later on in those races. Owen, welcome into the interview box. A very tough couple of races there. Tell me, how did you find those 2 races there in the TT Cup?
I am drenched in sweat, my friend. No, it was good fun, but also a bit tooth and nail and nail biting race. So I've been pretty much in the practice server for a week to try and find these last couple of tenths that I needed, because the pace was looking okay in the practice server. Come qualifying, the temperature dropped a bit, so times got quicker, and my main struggle points were always turn 1 because I nailed it in the practice server that well that I was always losing time to my previous Delta, and then the chicane was also really tricky as well. But it finally clicked like halfway through race one. Race one, I just didn't really have an answer to Archie. Really, he was they were absolutely rapid in terms of pace, but it's to be expected really because they did such a really good job in qualifying, and they had such a great launch. Granted, the ballast is lower, but that's not really an excuse. Really, just they drove better than I did for race one. They used the push to pass when needed. They knew what to do really, and just how to control their pace and just win that race really. Granted, I think I took the fastest lap in race one, but it was only by a tenth, and it was me just using up my final two push to passes just to have some fun. Race two, however, the start was okay. There was I'm not going to say a massive pileup, but an incident in the bus stop on lap one. I did receive some damage on the side. I managed to get through the first part of the bus stop chicane fine. It was the second part when there was a car strewn across the thing. I think James tried avoiding action as well, but I think him and myself just door banged. But that's no harm, no foul. Just none of us could really, predict where each other was going because, there was just cars stricken across the track. It was then just a case of, sorry, you can probably have bikes in the rear. People have been funny at this time of night. No, it was then just kind of a recovery drive, just using the pace and the push to pass when needed. There was, I don't know if it was caught on the stream, but there was an incident I had with, I can't remember their name exactly. I know their livery. It was kind of like a purplish BUSR car. I was on the outside of technically turn 4, but like the corner going onto the actual straight before the bus stop. I mean, I was alongside, might have been possibly ahead a bit. I was on the outside, left them plenty of room on the inside, and for whatever reason, they had drifted into my path. And then the next thing I know was they've crossed my front nose. I've hit the grass. I've actually ended up spinning. Brakes were applied immediately. Poor Archie, who was, he was fighting with myself and James in race 2 from the get-go. He got involved in it and his car was heavily damaged. Really, I lost my head a tiny bit there. I was like, that's it, race is done. I can't really do anything, but was just punching in the laps again. And then it was a fight with Mohammed and Will, that was good fun. Spectating it from the rear, they were fighting super duper hard, which, from like a touring car perspective, if you like. We did go 3 wide at one point. I think I bounced off the curb badly as Mohammed backed out, and I just got spooks, and then I cut across the grass a wee bit. I've spoken to Will about that in interview, so yeah.
Well,
apart from that, it was fine though.
Thanks for being here. Hopefully, we'll see you in the next round. We are just going to hurry on to our next interview. Thank you for being here. So next up, we are going to have Mohammed, who has put up a really decent fight here. Mohammed, welcome into the interview box. How did you find your races went today?
Hi. I think it was my best race yet. So it was quite an interesting race because my first start was a bit harder. I was in the midfield and it was a bit bumpy, but we got through and we had some incidences in the race, but it was quite a hard race. The first one. The second one was it was another kind of race because I started in the second position, and to the end of the first corner, I've gained the advantage. I took the inside line and I got first. Then, my pace was a bit off, but I kept what I could.
And looking forward, you're expecting to repeat those results? Have you looked at any of the future tracks, or are you thinking that's your strongest weekend done? What are you thinking for the next few rounds?
Well, I think that I will have a few I will have a few better races from this in the future. The upcoming races, the tracks will be better for me. This track was really hard to learn, and I didn't have enough time to practice. But I think we will have some more pace in the next races.
Well, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you for speaking to us, Mohammed, and wish you all the best of luck as we go forward.
Thank you. You too.
We're now going to put in another one of our drivers now, just working our way through the class winners. We're going to bring in Will Butsy, who did rather well getting class wins across the weekend. Hello, Will. How are you doing?
What's happening? You good?
Yeah, good. Open class wins for you. Are you looking for more points going forward? How do you think that
I
race went?
actually didn't even know that I did win that, to be honest. I was actually quite surprised why I got pulled in. Well, if I'm finishing the rest of it, then yeah, I'll be looking for more points towards the end of it. I was surprised I was so quick, to be fair, to be brutally honest with you. Purely for the fact of I dragged the track onto my AC. I think it was about 10 minutes before qualifying. So it was completely, well, it was like completely new to me, to be fair.
So you think you just gelled naturally with a track and the
I'm
car
guessing so.
combination?
I'm guessing so. Car didn't react how I would normally want it, but to be fourth and fifth, then I can't exactly complain out of 20. So I'll happily take it.
And right, we're going to move on to our next interviewee. So thank you for being here, Will. Hopefully we can see you again in the future rounds.
All right, have a good one, lads.
Same to you. Right. And finally, we have, I believe this is O'Leary? Question mark. Welcome
Hello.
in to the interview box. Fantastic performances, one of a kind in quali. How have you found the races today? How are you enjoying the Glen?
Yeah, it went very, very well. Much better than expected. I knew I was fast in practice to a degree. I set like a 1:16.0 yesterday, but the track temperatures changed today, and suddenly I was going like at that same speed in my race trim on hard tyres and full tank of fuel. And then once I actually put the quali spec on and gave that a go, I was 4,000th behind Aiden. And that's generally a good sign because Aiden's fast. He clearly didn't have a very good race today. I'm not sure if he was involved in incidents or whatever, but he seemed to be quite far down compared to where he usually is, which is good for student class points, I have to say. And as for race one, yeah, got the lead, kept it into turn one, and just kept it for the rest of the race. I fluffed the bus stop like twice. That was it. So yeah, very happy with that. Just that I kept the lead and kept it there on pure pace and won. I really didn't expect to win a race at all in this championship. I've never been higher than third, and that was in a reverse grid race. So to convert pole to a win while leading every lap, I'm very, very happy with.
And have you looked forward to going into the future races to claim more points? Have you looked at Donington? Have you looked at the Nürburgring? Or are you going in blind?
What I like to do is I like to do like an hour's practice the day before just to see what it's like. But that's it. I won't do anything more than that. I know both the tracks decently well. Probably know Donington better. It is my local track after all. Not that I've ever driven it in real life, but it is the one I usually end up going to for stuff. And I'm not going to hold out much hope for more points in the future because I am inevitably going to get a lot of ballast from this week because I would have had a good points total, and that will get me up the standings and it will slow me down. So yeah, I'm perfectly happy with this being like my 1 week actually being quick and then just returning to the midfield for the last 2 rounds. I'll be fine with that. I'm just really happy to have won anything, to be honest.
Well, it's always lovely to see newcomers on the top set of the podium, and hopefully we can see you again in the interview suite in a short while.
Yes, hopefully. I think murder might have to be committed for me to end up there, but hopefully I shall return at some point. Yes.
Excellent. Well, thank you for showing up, and thank you for racing.
Yes.
Excellent
Thank you
performance.
very
We'll
much.
see you
Yeah.
next time.
Yeah, I'll see you next week.
And And I believe that concludes today's round here at the Glen for BUSR and their Assetto Corsa Audi TT Cup Championship. Do you have any closing comments before we finish off today, Dan?
I'm just thrilled with how close the battle is in all of the different championships now. Thanks to some fortunate technical infringements and missed rounds, the battle going forward is going to be a very interesting one.
Yeah, definitely. So before we round off, again, thank you again to Gridfinder for being our is provided the correct word? I don't know. But for allowing us to put our races out there and to allow us to host our community on that amazing platform. So if you want to find your people, head to Gridfinder and you can find different communities in basically any sim that you can name. Don't forget you can join the Discord at busr.gg/Discord and you can join this awesome community and join us for future races in different sims like Assetto Corsa, F1, and maybe even iRacing or EA Sports WRC. Just depends on what we've got running. So come on in, say hi, and learn a few things from some of our best drivers. But that rounds off the stream for today. I've been Frey, joined in the commentary box today by Dan, and we will see you at the next round.